Hey everyone, it's Kellen Brower from RacerX back again with another race examination. We're going to go back to Glendale and we're going to talk about this Vince Friese and Christian Craig situation, try to break down all angles and all sides to the story so far, and then move on after that. Let's just move on and go racing this weekend in Anaheim. What do you say? So of course, this is the instance that it happens. Craig gets kind of blown up in the sand corner. Friese goes down. Craig gets up. He's very upset. He trips over the wire. But amazingly, Craig was able to get back to fourth and it salvaged a second overall finish on the night for him in Glendale. But if we break this down a little bit, I want to talk about a couple things. First off, Friese tries to get this triple into the first rhythm in the first main event and doesn't get it. From that point on, never did it again. So Craig knows this going into the second main event, and he thought he was just going to triple by him again. But if we come to this sequence again, Friese is a lot closer in the second main event than he was in the first one. So Craig's going to the outside here. You could say he was a little bit overzealous, but Friese actually admitted in a SwapMotoLive.com interview that he just thought he was going to beat Craig to the corner. He thought that he had better drive. He thought he was going to get to that line first. And by the time they make contact, it's too late, obviously. They get together. He says he wasn't intentionally trying to make contact or intentionally putting him on the ground. But in the end, it was just kind of a bad move. And why it was a bad move was because he probably could have podiumed here tonight. He probably had a shot at getting third overall if he just goes inside in the sand section. That's what a lot of people are saying. Why didn't he just go inside? He maybe passes Craig back. At worst, he comes out in second. And if we let the whole field go by, you see coming through in eighth early on here is Joe Shimoda, who does get third overall in the night. And back in the first main event, Joe Shimoda had a tough time getting around Vince Friese. So he probably wasn't going to pass him in that main event. Friese sets himself up fantastically then for a podium overall. Not going to get it on the night, though. Ends up fifth overall, so that hurt the wallet a little bit. Objectively, not a good financial decision. But here's what I'm talking about with Friese. He's looking ahead. He thinks he's going to land into the corner and just beat Craig to the punch. It doesn't happen. Now, a little thing I picked up on this that I don't necessarily agree with is that I don't think Friese is actually even going to make that corner. He's high-siding after making contact with Craig. If we go back to the Roczen-Anderson situation from last week, Anderson takes Roczen out, but he's low-siding the entire time. He's definitely going to make the corner. It's just that him and Roczen made contact. In this situation, you can't hit someone and then get high-sided after hitting him, because you were pretty much always going to go down anyway. It's just one of those situations where momentum was going to carry him over. Going to what Craig had to say about it, though, he said, I had no idea. I went to rail that berm because I saw they fix it, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm just going to rail the berm and try to check out. Next thing I know, I'm just front flipping over to the wall. We were going so fast. I was third gear sitting into that sand corner, and next thing I know, I'm clipping bars with someone and just flying. That was Craig on Pulp MX Show 492. And yeah, that's exactly to the point. But he thought Friese is just going to go inside, and the second he realizes Friese isn't going inside, he leans into the contact. Like, he sees it coming. He sees that Friese has elected not to go to the inside and tries to stop it and still gets sent over the berm. James Stewart said, I don't think that was a dirty pass. I don't think Friese meant to take dude out. First off, him and Craig are even. To Friese's point, Craig's up in the air, so he thinks he can get that dive and make up that difference. He slams on the brakes. He knows it's not going to end well. Friese might be dirty, but he ain't stupid. Anybody that tries to make that pass in that section would be crazy, so I don't think he went in there trying to hit the dude. That's James Stewart on Bubba's World, episode 0.3. And yeah, like James is saying, he just thought he was going to beat him to the punch. So we have two different opinions, two varying opinions, a lot of backlash from Friese on this whole situation. He does end up with a 6-month probation out of this, doesn't get fined or DQ'd or anything like that, but now he's got to ride on a little bit more eggshells. Doesn't matter, though, because at the end of this whole thing, Hunter Lawrence won the main event. He went 2-1-2 and now pulls into 8 points back of Craig as we head into Anaheim, and we can finally stop talking about this Friese situation and drop the gate in Anaheim this weekend. What do you say? I want to remind everybody that this video is presented by OnX Off-Road. Know where to go with the #1 off-road GPS app. Access 500,000 plus miles of trails and roads, open dates, and public lands. Download the OnX Off-Road app today. On to the 450 class, and there was a couple talking points to bring up from the Triple Crown in Glendale. Of course, Eli Tomac, the big winner on the night with 2 main events out of 3 tries, but he got a couple hole shots as well, which is pretty rare for Eli Tomac. Got out of the grate both times very well. Just outside of the box, there was a little bit of talk about whether or not he could see the AMA starter inside of the box, and I guess if you review the tape, yes, he does get a slightly better jump than everybody else. The guy inside of the box there was visible to everybody, but it wasn't so much so that he would have dominated everybody. It was just a little bit quicker reaction. Still good starts, though, and Tomac's starts are definitely coming around. On to Jason Anderson's crash, though, a little bit later on in the 450 main event, and got stuck on this tough block. This is the second main event, I should say. Got stuck on this tough block for a little while, and I think what this one boils down to was simply just a little bit of skating on the smooth traction there a little bit, and then being off balance. You can see Malcolm Stewart behind him kind of does the same thing, like jumping too far to the left after seat bouncing that. I think that's just kind of talking about the soil being as loose as it was with the top layer. It just kind of gets these guys off balance just a little bit, and then that real slick stuff underneath caught Chase Sexton out, caught Marvin Musquin out, caught Nate Thrasher out. It caught a lot of guys out. In fact, Moseman actually had a couple of moments as well in his main events. So this is kind of typical of Glendale or Phoenix soil. It just always has kind of like a deceptively soft traction, I guess, and caught a lot of guys out, including Jason Anderson, I think. So in the end, though, Eli Tomac wins the Triple Crown, and this should be worrisome for a lot of people. Red plate, 2 wins on the season, good starts. Eli Tomac is looking pretty tough to beat as we head into Anaheim 3.